What's up, everybody? It's been a few days. I gotta jump on here. 1, 2, 3. The Hobby with Cage, episode 123. And title. Let's jump right in. Your LCS will be closed soon. Why? There's a lot of people in this hobby. A lot of people on Instagram. A lot of people who weren't here a couple years ago, and a little haterade at them. Even though these people weren't here a couple years ago, they are on baseball cards now. Those are your influencers. Those are the people who are out there telling you what to buy. Those are the people you're supposed to be, following along with, you name it. And I'm here to throw a little bit of ice water on that. I'm here to throw a little bit of history on that. And, take it or leave it, right? Caveat to start off with, something to just throw right out there as a beginning part of this episode. There are a lot of people who listen to me and watch me and simply love the hobby for the hobby itself. A lot of what I'm going to say probably doesn't apply to you. There are people who, like who they like the cards they collect their own way, buy some vintage cards, buy some hockey cards, buy some wrestling cards, you name it. And you guys are probably people who were here before the COVID bubble. Maybe you came in because you're looking for nostalgia, and the nostalgia is what's going to keep you here going forward. But fortunately, you are in the small minority of this hobby. A caveat to the caveat. There's nothing wrong if that's not you, if I didn't just describe you. This is a business, this hobby. It has become a business. It is a place where money is made. A place where money is made by doing a lot of different things. Whether it's, a brick and mortar LCS, whether it's a breaker, which is, a semi-new phenomenon. Big companies doing a lot of other fun stuff. I mean, you had these things that popped up, group submitters. Who ever thought of such a thing, right? Dealers going to shows, buying and selling, flipping, you name it. Nothing wrong with any of that. Nothing wrong with any of that at all. But you have to kind of understand when you're out there, who's doing what and why, right? Who's doing what and why? And I will tell you right now, what I'm doing right now is not making me $1. No one is sponsoring this episode. No one is telling me to say this. No one is, is putting me out here saying, okay, go and talk about this, this, and this. It's important, right? And there's nothing wrong also getting paid. Look, I'm sure plenty of auction houses, plenty of companies reach out to me. Can you do content about this, this, and this? I'm sure I'll do that. And there are plenty of people who do it. Right now, no. So understand this is coming from here. I've been thinking a lot this week. I opened a box of Upper Deck cards yesterday. This is not sour grapes. My LCS charged me $100 for the box of Upper Deck hockey. I know it's going for more than that now because everybody's chasing $1 million bounty of, Connor Bedard, Young Guns, 1 of 1. And someone will hit it, just like someone will today walk into a Vegas casino and hit a progressive slot machine. Somebody is going to eventually hit the $600, $700 million Mega Millions, the $500 million Powerball. Someone eventually will succeed. Someone will hit that LeBron 1 of 1, just like they did, right? The Tom Brady 1 of 1. Think about it, right? So yes, it will get hit. Money will be made by someone, all right? But before those cards are hit, there's money being made all along the way. So the Connor Bedard, I of course opened a box of Upper Deck. My LCS did it in such a great way. He knew that this card was going to be a hotly sought after card in Series 2. And he basically said, look, I'm only going to sell the allotment of Series 2 Upper Deck hockey that I have to the people who also bought Series 1. I opened the box of Series 1. I have no idea who was in it. I opened a box of Series 2. I still have no idea who was in it. But I was able to kind of be part of that chase. I was Charlie Bucket in this. I had 3 candy bars looking for the golden ticket. I had 1 box of Upper Deck Series 2 looking for the golden ticket. I didn't get it. It's an interesting thing, right? Because the hobby, for the most part, again, I'm painting with broad strokes here, guys, so don't get angry. The hobby, for the most part, has become that chase for the golden ticket, right? And everybody is part of it. Nothing wrong with it. But you have to see what it is. There's a 10. There's $10,000 worth of credit if you pull it on the Fanatics Live app. It's break with this person, open with this person, break online, break, and chase these cards. Okay. I want to say this is a new phenomenon. And it sort of is with the bounties and the, you name it being placed on these cards. And, with the internet and IG, it's boom, everything immediately. When David Adams placed a bounty on a card, everyone knows about it. Everybody posts about it. It's all over the place. Back when I started collecting, you didn't have that. If there was a bounty placed on, you'd have to wait for the Beckett magazine to show up a month after and have an advertisement in it about somebody looking to buy the card or whatever it is. And by then, maybe Connor Bedard is injured. He's injured. It got me thinking back, right? There have been cycles the cycles in everything. There have been cycles in the hobby. And it's important for folks who are new to this, or folks who are investing in this, or folks who plan to stay in this space, to understand those cycles. And it's even more important for you, the random person I'm talking to right now who is a hockey collector or football, baseball, because it's not just about Connor Bedard. The Bedard is a great example because it's this week. You are going to listen to this and say, I just really want to own the Bedard Young Guns card. Good. You might be the one I'm actually speaking to, because that card may never sell for more than it sells for right now. I'm not talking about the one-on-one with the $1 million bounty. I'm talking about just the base, the one that you want because you think the kid's going to be great. You want to own his card and you want to cheer him on. And maybe you're a Blackhawks fan and maybe you're not, but you want that card. The hype around the card is huge. And even if he turns to the second coming of Wayne Gretzky, you will be able to buy that card cheaper next week, next month, next year, and probably for the next decade than it is right now. And if you don't believe me, right, then you're probably a breaker looking to sell your product. But besides that, if you don't believe me, you have to just look at history. We don't have to go back so far. Look at the hype that are on these cards. Look at the hype on the Brady baseball card, the most recent one of these, with bounties and hype and mania. And look at the price of those cards and how they've come down so much, how they've come down great. Because you know what? We're on to the next hype cycle. We're on to the next hype thing. And that's just this year or end of last year. I will speak to you guys now from my own experience. And it's something I hope you kind of appreciate. I hope it's something that you buy into, because it's not just about what's going on now, right? I started collecting in the 80s, and I was lucky enough to be a 10-year-old kid in 1987 with the wood bordered set that came out. I was 8 years old. 1985 Topps came out with the Mark McGuire card, and forget about 85 had some great rookies in it with Dwight Gooden, and you had Brett Saberhagen. It was some awesome pitchers, and Corey Snyder on the Olympic team also. Roger Clemens. I mean, just really, and you were able to walk to the corner store lucky and pull the card. And what was amazing is I was able to build up a collection for pennies, for dimes, for nickels, because I wanted the cards of the guys, just like you may want to own that Connor Bedard card. But what was crazy was over the course of the next couple of years, just like I compare myself in the 80s to the people who were here in 2014, 15, 16, when I was doing UFC cards and probably should have held on to them. Or, the people who were here buying basketball cards, buying Mahomes before the boom, before the craziness, right? Lucky. Maybe smart. Mostly lucky. I consider myself lucky because I had a lot of good cards in the 80s before 89 Upper Deck and Ken Griffey Jr. and the explosion of the hobby and the explosion and the expansion of money coming into the hobby and the junk wax era, which is what followed. Right? And just the mass production of the cards being sold on Home Shopping Network, you know who you are. And just so much production that it became a chase mentality. And you think, oh, come on, no way. There's no way, it wasn't like that. Well, guys, I remember this. And 1989 Upper Deck came out, and you wanted your Ken Griffey Jr. card. Heck, you wanted Dwight Smith and Jerome Walton too. But the next year came out, and Upper Deck came out into the hobby. And if there are anyone out there in their 40s, anyone who remembers this, I mean, baseball cards were huge. Griffey was huge. But the next Upper Deck came out, and they mass produced the hell out of 1990 Upper Deck. But it didn't matter, because if you walked into your LCS, if you walked into your store and that 90 Upper Deck was there, the store owner would say to you, if you pulled a Ben McDonald, here it is, nice picture. Anybody ever heard of Ben McDonald? That was the guy, Ben McDonald, 1990 Upper Deck pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. If you pulled yourself a Ben McDonald card, I'll give you, at one point, I'll give you a whole box of Upper Deck. I'll give you 10 packs of Upper Deck. You know, it was almost like a buyback. I remember going into the LCS at the Atrium in Staten Island. We'll talk about that in a second. A movie theater, a bunch of stores, and a hobby store. And they had it right there. It's like, okay, this year's Griffey Jr. is Ben McDonald. You happen to pull a Ben McDonald and sell it back to us, we'll give you X more packs to open. If you get another Ben McDonald in your next pack to open, you keep on going, right? It's funny because, you know, when the Ben McDonald rookie came out, I was 13 years old, and this was the greatest thing on earth because I had never been to a casino before. I watched my father, you know, pull the slot machine handle and hope to hit something. I watched the coins actually come out on the bottom of the slot machine and put them right back in. Little did I know, I didn't have to be 21 to gamble. I could be 13 and go to the store, buy my packs. They were like $1.25 maybe in 1999. I think $1 was 89 Upper Deck. Maybe $1.25. You know, 4 packs for $5. I think maybe they would give you a little discount if you bought 10 packs, charge you $11, $1.10. And we're all good. And all the kids would ride our bikes to the store. The funny thing is, none of us knew who the hell Ben McDonald was. None of us cared. He was on the Orioles. You know, I was a Yankee fan. My friends were Met fans. There were no Yankees or Mets. Greg Jeffries, you know, he was already a couple years into the mission, right? But we didn't care. And something changed there. Something changed from when I was buying my packs of 85 tops, trying to find the guys I wanted to collect. The 86 tops, looking for, you know, my Joe Carter and having it in my collection. Not really caring about what kind of condition it was in. The 87 tops, you know, grabbing the Canseco with the cup on it, and, you know, the McGuire wood border, and the Bo Jackson and Wally Joyner Future Stars cards, which were awesome. Hell, I even wanted Paul Molitor that year because he had a heck of a hitting streak. Something changed. I wasn't looking for the cards of the stars. I was buying packs and not caring about the Bo Jackson card. I think if I remember the 90 Bo Jackson, he was kind of fielding. He was making a catch. His glove was down. There was a couple cool Nolan Ryan cards in there. The 90 Upper Deck was cool, but, you know, Upper Deck was awesome. But we were all in there for one reason, and it was to chase the Upper Deck Ben McDonald. And I remember a friend hit one and was like, yeah, it was like the golden ticket. You know, that was Augustus Gloop right there. And, you know, and he got the win. And boom, more packs. And, you know, the packs were opened and chase another Ben McDonald. And 1991, it happened again. And it happened where everybody was chasing Todd Van Poppel. See that one right there? A little Todd Van Poppel. And Scott Erickson. So now you walk into the store at the Atrium, and 1991, it's Todd Van Poppel, and it's Scott Erickson. And if you bought your packs and you got either of those guys, they gave you free packs. You were getting packs back. They bought them back because then they were going to sell the card, and the whole deal. It was the buyback. It was original. But 1991, I remember, with a little expansion. It was 91, 92. Because I'm sure that the hobby store noticed that we were coming in for baseball. We were coming in to search for these guys, Scott Erickson, Todd Van Poppel, Ben McDonald. Have any of you guys heard of them? Maybe if you're as old as me and you did the same thing at your LCS, you remember them. But they're not exactly big-time names at the Baseball Hall of Fame. I don't think the majority of young kids who just got into this hobby know any of those names. But they were the Bedard, man. They were the ones people were buying product to try to hit. Those were the chases to right there in the store, get free packs, get your money back, and keep ripping. But then there was a shift 91, 92. What was even funnier is the store at the Atrium and every place else realized that they couldn't just have us there one time a year. I mean, Upper Deck was a one-time release. It wasn't like you had a new release every week like they have now. It started, trust me. They had a heck of a lot of releases, but nothing like what they did now. So then what we had was a great marketing moment because the Canada Cup had a kid on it playing. I think it was for Finland. I don't remember exactly. I think it was Finland. I might be messing that up. THWC was going to be huge. And guess what? Upper Deck was making his rookie card. And I'll never forget it because just like yesterday, here I am opening hockey. And I don't know any of these. Upper Deck, I got to give you credit. Gorgeous product. Shiny. I didn't get a single numbered card. Every pack has inserts in it. I got one where it's like the dude's just eyes. Remind me of a card from the 90s that was like, A-Rod's sunglasses, same kind of thing. I know what you're doing. Nice product. I don't know what the hell I was looking for because if I didn't get a Bedard, I wouldn't know any name. And if I got a Bedard, I would just be selling it, which is the opposite of collecting, by the way. But I know when I was 14 years old, and the chase for Ben McDonald had ended, and the chase for Todd Van Poppel had ended, and the chase for Scott Erickson had ended. The hobby store had me looking for THWC cards because there was a sign, and it said, if you get this THWC 91 Upper Deck, we will give you 10 packs, and you can open more and search for more. Of course we were going to do it. I mean, we were back in the casino. We were back in there buying. The Atrium store closed in the mid-90s, just as a lot of other stores closed as well. It was a store that popped up in the junk wax and was basically running on this scheme of these cards, chase these cards. But if you give enough runway to Ben McDonald and Todd Van Poppel and Scott Erickson, even THWC, who was a great player. I think that card right now in PSA 10 sold last week for $30-something. Is that the card you needed to have? He turned into probably better than what people's expectations were. I saw a Ben McDonald card. It's an error. So I saw a Ben McDonald card sell for like 22 cents raw. Todd Van Poppel, I don't even get 22 cents for it. Because they were mass produced, they were overproduced, they were crazy amount of them. And the thing is that the best time to sell Ben McDonald was right then and there. Just like I believe the best time to sell your Connor Bedard cards is now, because back then you didn't even have the internet. Hell, I'm old. But now you have to know that next week there will be something else that's being pushed. Baseball will start, and there'll be baseball products that come out, and some rookie will take off, and people will be looking to break a product and get Ellie Taylor Cruz or Wyatt Langford, who may never play a game in the majors. Drew Jones. You guys saw it? The bounty for the Drew Jones. What is he, 11 years old? I jest for a reason. I have seen this. This movie is a redo. And I saw hobby stores pop up where they weren't. I grew up, born in Brooklyn. I grew up in Staten Island. And we used to have, when I was a kid, one actual store that was dedicated to cards. You could buy packs at other stores, the Five and Dime. Yeah, I'm that old. The greeting card store. Peddler's World was called in Greenridge Plaza. You could buy packs, but it wasn't a card store. By the time I was in high school, in the mid-90s, there were a dozen stores in Staten Island, and there were card shows every weekend, every church, every Knights of Columbus, every Elks Lodge. There were card shows all over the place. And then it stopped. And then you had hobby bankruptcies, and you had stores close, and you had contraction in the hobby. And then there's another hype cycle, and LeBron comes out, and the cards get big again, and the stores open up again, and different stores. The point is, if your LCS opened recently, it's probably going to close in a couple years. And then maybe another one will open up in its place 5-10 years from now. So what can you learn from that? If you need to have a Bedard wait a little while, the price is probably going to come down. The mania and hysteria will never be more for the card than this week. It will be forgotten when the next news cycle, when the next hype cycle, when the next craziness comes. And more importantly, I'll throw this at the end. Remember why it's being done. Card manufacturers have to sell their cards. Card breakers have to have you pay money to have them break the cards. The platforms they're breaking on need you to break on their platforms is because they're competing with other platforms to get your breaking money. It is a cycle. Auction houses need you to sell on their auction platform. People need to pump up cards because they are private sellers and buyers of cards so that they can consign it and tell you how rare that card is. And remember where it's all coming from. Because very rarely do I see IG content out there or content on YouTube telling you, don't buy. But that's the message I'm giving you today. If you really want your Connor Bedard card to hold for life, save yourself some money and wait a little while. I hope your LCS is the one that stays open. Maybe they do things the right way. There are a couple guys I know who own stores who I hope don't close. But my history says that we are in the part of the cycle now where the stores are the casinos, the online breakers are the casinos, and everybody's chasing that hype. But eventually the market here, you, me, the people listening, the people watching, realize that you've been chasing the Drew Jones, you've been chasing the Wyatt Langford, you've been chasing the who the heck knows, Bronny James, Connor Bedard. Maybe one turns into Timo Solane. Maybe one turns into something great. But the vast majority of them over time will reveal themselves as Todd Van Poppels and Ben McDonald's and Scott Erickson's. I'm sure are great people, but they did not warrant the mania, the hype, and the hysteria that they had. That's business. The hobby is a business. Talk to you guys soon. By the way, I'm loving the hobby. So I want a little caveat at the end there. I'm having fun. $100 box of cards, I'll do that every time. That's fun. And now my son and I have some hockey cards. We're going to look up who these people are. Maybe we'll watch a game of hockey. We did the same thing last week, $100 a box for MLS Finest. Did I get a numbered Messi? Absolutely not. Did Ian pull a superfractor of some rookie on some team we never heard of? You bet he did. A superfractor, our first superfractor. We've pulled one-on-ones before, but that's the first superfractor we've ever pulled, and that was fun. There is fun to be had. We weren't chasing a bounty. We were chasing Messi. And it's fun. As long as going into it, you understand what you're doing. You understand how much you're spending. You're setting limits. You're doing all the right stuff, and you're doing it because it's a little bit of fun. I like opening with my son, and we're going to watch some MLS games and see if any of these guys turn into anything. I doubt it. But fun stuff. But I will tell you, my LCS knows if a box costs more than $250, unless it's Prism Basketball, don't even offer it to me. I'm getting burned too often. And there's your episode for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit fun. I'm not telling you to pack up and run. I would never do that. It's more of just an eyes open kind of thing. This Bedard thing just really took me back to when I was a kid, and I wanted to share that with you guys and talk about some of the stuff that it had me thinking about. We'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.